MLMs or multi-level marketing should be illegal. It's not illegal because it's technically not a pyramid scheme since there's an actual product being sold. The problem is that nobody buys the product unless they're in the MLM. You don't sell it to your friends. You sell it to your friends along with the promise that if they sell it to their friends, then they'll make money, but most of the money. So I think that it's not considered a pyramid scheme because most of the money comes from the products, not recruitment. The problem is that buying the product is part of the recruitment. So it's this weird mess. I don't know exactly how to explain it. I don't know what the laws are specifically, but that's generally my understanding, that they're legal because they're not technically pyramid schemes, but they function fundamentally as pyramid schemes. That is how they work. People at the top make a lot of money. You have to be at the top and be an early adopter, and if you're not part of it within the first few years, you are going to lose money and time. And I am fascinated and frustrated with the willingness of people to do something and believe something so ridiculous, even though there's proof that it doesn't work. You're more likely to win at roulette, I believe it is. Gambling in general, I think somebody said in roulette, the statistical likelihood of actually becoming a successful MLMer is lower than gambling. And if you tell that to somebody that wants to join, it's like 1 or 2%. They think they're going to reject that because they're going to say, well, that's just chance. But if I really work at it, I'm going to be one of those people that make it work because it's not pure luck. It can be, I'm smart and clever and I can do this. Anyway, so a lot of MLMs are very cultish. Now, not all of them necessarily are. However, even the ones that aren't like true full-blown cults, I believe that there is something inherent in the way that MLMs work that turn them into cults or become cultish. And here's why. Multi-level marketing doesn't work. And the people that in the beginning, they don't know that. They don't know that it's not going to work. But all of their friends and family are telling them don't do it. Why are all your friends and family telling you don't do it? Because they are actually logical and rational, and because it doesn't work, the leaders have to really press the idea that fuck the haters, they're just jealous of your independence and the success that you're going to have, and you need to cut people off if they discourage you from doing this, because that if you keep them in your life essentially and they keep telling you all of this negative stuff, then you're not going to be successful. Why is this cult behavior? One, because it involves telling people to shut off their brains and stop being rational and give all of their trust to the MLM. And that's why a lot of them, the coaches, are kind of like mentors. You just have to believe them and accept them. And cutting people off from your life, telling you to cut people off, is part of what a cult is. Cults do it because they know that the rest of the world is going to say, this is crazy, don't do this. And so, in order to function, they have to cut themselves off from society and say, no, you are with us and you're not allowed to have these other relationships. And so yeah, so MLMs, there's something inherent, even if they don't, even if they're more benign and they don't tell you to actually disown people, it does happen. And even when it doesn't, you are still being told to shut off your mind and shut off and just accept this is going to work, and the only way it will work is if you shut people off. So anyway, so and that is why it's not only toxic in the sense that you are convincing people to waste their money and time, it's actually extremely toxic to relationships that were your new family now. Not all of them are like that. But again, there's something inherent to the way MLMs work that lead that to be a common trend. So it is mind-boggling how people will do that. And even from the beginning, and this is where it's really crazy, is that they can start that process even before you join. I had a roommate, a landlord, who had just been introduced to Amway, and he was thinking, I think I'm going to do it. And I said, well, before you do it, just Google it, do some research before you join it. And he said, well, I see where you're coming from, but I'm not going to do that. Why? Why would you? We have Google. It exists. You can do all sorts. You can look up objective facts about this thing that you're about to get into. And this is a very serious thing. Why would you not Google it? He's not somebody that... It's one thing to not really do your research because you don't think that you need to, and you're just not really thinking. But if somebody tells you, just do a quick Google search, and you're like, no, I'm not going to. You could just look up objective facts. But you want to join this thing that's supposed to make you successful. Look up what are the success rates? What are my odds? Why should I do this? I guarantee you that the reason that he chose not to Google it is because they told him not to. And that the reason you shouldn't Google it is it's going to come up with all sorts of haters who couldn't make it. And there's all this negative talk about it by failures. And so you just want to get it from us. And that is the sort of thing that Scientologists are not allowed to Google Scientology. But that's when they're already in. It was amazing that he had already bought into this idea that he hadn't even been brainwashed by them yet, and he was already adopting that attitude. And maybe the reason people are susceptible is because it gives them a sense of certainty and security. And having that sense of certainty and security means stop thinking and just accept this and let us do the thinking for you. And that's probably why people do that. Finally, somebody has the answers. And it's kind of like finally somebody has the solution to my life. and they have a system that's going to benefit me, and it's going to change my life, and it's going to be for the better. And it's like, if it's such a big deal, then you'd want to research it. But psychologically, I'm just thinking of this, like, as I talk. You've been promised something amazing, and doing some research and taking your time with it might disillusion you, and it's going to take away that wonderful thing that you have. And actually, come to think of it, I have done the same thing. I've made stupid, big decisions and not done research, not put careful thought into it. That's what happened. I made a move to Texas. And the moment I decided I was going to do it, I was like, I'm going to do it no matter what. I'm not going to consider not doing it. And so, it would have been rational for me to look at everything. But I was like, no, this is a good thing, and I don't want to ruin it by second-guessing myself. So that's probably what it is. But, yeah, so telling somebody you don't need to think about this because we have the answers for you, and you need to just blindly follow. And it's that cult leader sort of that cult-like obedience and acceptance of the rules and shutting off the outside world. Is the only thing that can keep people going, because they are not going to see success, and they're not going to see it for a long time, if they ever do. And so they don't stay in because they're having success and this is working. They stay in because they're promised that it will work, and that if it doesn't, there's something wrong with them. And so MLMs, I used to just think were a stupid, dumb decision for somebody to make. I got invited to a couple MLM meetings where I didn't know that that's what they were until I went there. And I remember the first one, I didn't even know anything about MLMs. I didn't know how they worked, and I went there and I was like, this is really suspicious. This is creepy. This is too good to be true. There's no substance to this. And yeah, so I was listening to Dave Ramsey. So he's this Christian financial guy, and he teaches Christians how to manage their money wisely, and that's fine. That's great. He doesn't have to. I don't know if he puts the Bible in there too. I haven't really listened to much of what he says, but even if he doesn't, there are Christians that need that, and if they know that he's a Christian, and they'll get better at their finances anyway. So I did watch one video where there's a call-in, and a guy was talking about he wanted to join an MLM. And Dave Ramsey, and what is a good idea? And Dave Ramsey very accurately stated that, yes, it is possible to make money through an MLM, but you are not ever going to make it through selling the products, which is, what they tell you. That's just not going to happen. The only way to make it in an MLM is if you are hardcore selling it to people, and you would just become really, really intense about recruiting, and you can make it that way. And that's all he had to say about it. And what he said was accurate. But was it Christian? I don't think so. Because those things together, the fact that you can't make it, that only like a very few people make it, and if you want to make it, it's going to only be through recruiting other people. And he say that is true, but that is immoral. And he didn't point that out. He didn't say, as a Christian, you shouldn't do this, because if you are making it by selling it, you are selling it to people who you know are not going to make it. So it is immoral to be a successful MLM person. It requires you to sacrifice your morality. And I think that some of them might convince themselves that, well, not everybody's going to make it, but we're giving the opportunity to a few people to make it. And they probably rationalize it themselves. And they might genuinely believe that they're doing a good thing and that it's victimless. But if you are in the top and you have convinced yourself that, there's no excuse for believing that. You do not have the excuse to not look at the numbers and say, oh, wow, the people, like 98% of the people that I'm selling this to, and I'm telling them that they can make it, I know are not going to make it, objectively speaking. And yeah. So you are spreading lies so that you can make your own money. And they might not set out to do that. They were, some of them might have been gullible rubes as well. Just a tiny percent. But yeah, so if you are that's another thing. Not only does it cause you to sacrifice your morality, you might be successful because you are a psychopath already and don't have any morality to give up in selling this. So it might actually attract genuine psychopaths. I think it's possible. Another thing about MLMs, I was watching a team meeting, whatever they called it. It was through Zoom. And multiple ones that were exactly like this, where the team leader was shitting on everybody and saying there's no excuse for you guys to not be successful. And if you're in the bathroom and you're on the toilet, you can have your phone in front of you and you can be contacting people and friending people on Facebook. If you have a tragedy, if you are at the vet because your dog is sick, or you just had a funeral for your grandmother, you can still be on your phone doing this stuff, and you're not doing it. That's not why you're making it. The crazy thing about that is that one of the things that draws people into MLMs is the promise that, hey, this is really easy. It's passive income. You can just kind of live your life and, take care of your kids and be at home with your family. And it's really easy. That's the big selling point, passive income. But once you're in it, they tell you, no. You have to be not only working hard, you have to be working hard in a way that is toxic and turns you into a person that you shouldn't be. And the worst thing about MLMs, I think, is how it turns your friends into projects. If somebody reaches out to you who is in an MLM and they say, hey, how are you doing? You probably shouldn't answer. Because they'll probably be like, oh, hey, I just had this opportunity. It's changed my life, and I was thinking about you and how great it would help you. They're not thinking about how wonderful it will be for somebody else, what a great opportunity, and that they are actually have altruistic motive. No, they want you to join so that they can make money off of you. You're a project to them. And you alienate people. And if you this is another thing that not only do you cut out the haters from your life, you actually drive people away from you, and you have bad relationships with people because people are going to be sick of your shit. They don't want to be your friend anymore. Therefore, you are more susceptible to making the MLM your new family, and that further isolates you and further allows brainwashing to happen because now you don't have any friends to keep you grounded. So anyway, in summary, it is very interesting to realize that MLMs have an intrinsic property to them that leads to them becoming cults. That there is something inherent in the way they work, and the fact that they don't work is the key to why it requires cultish tactics. Even if the people at the top don't set out to start a cult and they're not thinking about what they're really doing, they might not be quite aware of it, but it is what they're doing. And it is fascinating how intelligent people can just turn off their brains, just flip a switch, be like, oh, I want this thing to be true. I'm just going to ignore logic. It's like when people are Mormons. There are educated Mormons who are historians and archaeologists. A lot of them wanted to be archaeologists, so they can go find the remains of fictional cities in North America. And if they study archaeology, they understand that the way you do archaeology is not based on faith. It has to be based on evidence, and you go study the evidence, and you say, so if somebody told you, oh, I found there's this lost city in this one place, and God told me. Even a Mormon, they might be open to the possibility, but they would be like, no, you got to bring me evidence. But when it comes to the evidence of Joseph Smith, well, they just turn that off. So it's the same thing with MLMs. It is very frustrating to see that. I do hope that by talking about this and exploring the psychological effects of MLMs, I think that I could be able to warn somebody away from it. Because if you try to go at them with the statistics of the financial benefits, and you say, see, this isn't a good idea, you're not going to stop them, because they'll think, well, yeah, but I'm going to be one of the successful people. And so I think it's better to go at more of a root thing, not is this a good idea based on whether you're going to be successful at it. It's that get at the reason why they even want to join in the first place, and the psychological manipulation that is going to happen. And so if you can be like, this is what's happening in your mind, this is why you think it will work, and this is why you are likely to experience toxic behavior as you go on, and you explain that point by point. This is the logic, this is the evidence. MLMs, if it seems great right now, it's just to reel you in, and it's psychological manipulation. So that's all I got to say about MLMs. Should be illegal because they function as pyramid schemes, and they should maybe change the laws. How about this? They don't outlaw multi-level marketing in principle. They're not going to say that you're not allowed to use this structure, but I think that the law is something like, because a certain percentage of the money being made is an actual tangible product being sold. How about they make the laws just a lot more strict, where there has to be a lot more product being sold? And I don't know, change the laws. It's disgusting that it just bankrupts people. It's predatory. They are not just a bad idea. It's not just that they don't work. It's that they they are not all are necessarily toxic. I think I've pointed that out before. But generally I think that people should be free to do what they want. If you want to be stupid, but I just think about it is really important. Like, I've never, I haven't really had much experience with somebody that I know and love and care about and I'm like super concerned about. My friend slash roommate, I was friends with him at the time he joined, and I tried to talk him through it, but he was set on it. But I didn't really care because we had a falling out.